Tonight we have with us Ray from Washington, D.C. He was born and raised there, and he was able to attend both Obama's inauguration in 2009 and Trump's. And he says there were some big differences. There's been a lot of talk about crowd sizes and comparisons. So, Ray, I wanted to ask you, what differences did you see between Obama and Trump's inaugurations?
Well, the main difference that I saw was the difference in the security posture that National Park Service and National Guard and Metropolitan Police Department had. This is the first time I've ever seen the kind of defense-in-depth security fencing and jersey barriers and as many blocked roads as I've seen, and also as many metro station closures as I've seen in, as far as I can remember. It was almost as if the National Mall area and actually a wide perimeter around it was prepared for martial law. And so this had the effect on, as far as visitors to the D.C. area, this had a very stressful effect of forcing people who might have wanted to actually attend the inauguration. It made people who were trying to get inside basically have to wait for several hours,
right,
in some cases, and also eventually be discouraged and just kind of head out, because it's a very strenuous act to have to on your feet traverse the streets of DC trying to just find an opening into this place, and then when you get there you find that there's another line that's maybe 5,000 to 8,000 people just standing still, like they're all just hopeful to try again, because they made it all the way to DC for this very reason. They may have even booked hotel rooms several months in advance, but they get there and they kind of, right when they have a chance to bite at the apple, they get stymied right at the right at the start of the ceremony. So that's what happened to us also.
So when you were at Obama's inauguration, you didn't see these kinds of measures?
No, I didn't see these kind of measures. Of course, there's always a police presence and a security presence, but what they're mostly looking for in general they're trying to see if anybody's actually kind of carrying something in their hands that might be either construed or used or is a weapon.
Right.
So that's more of the idea behind that. It's not so much that they are trying to do airport style security for every single person getting in. This is definitely unprecedented. This is it was like as if you were in a war zone going in there. It's the best way that I could describe it.
If you had to guess, would you say that there was an attempt to keep people off the mall to make the crowd look smaller? Or do you think this was simply there were maybe more threats against the life of President Trump?
There was something very strange that happened. We got there plenty of time. Like even with all these obstacles and the gauntlet that we had to get through, when we finally got to the 12th Street checkpoint and we waited in a line with 4,000 or 5,000 other people, we were stationary for a long time. Now, right when the ceremony began is when the line started moving. And it started moving at a reasonably good pace, like almost as if you would see the lines, the security lines at an airport. They were getting people through. They had the capacity to get people through, and it was almost as if it seemed, at least, as though there was a green light given at some point, and that's when basically everybody had to start stepping every few seconds. You couldn't stay still, otherwise there would start to be a gap. But before that, people were miserable waiting in line. And but I mean, we eventually got in. I got in in time to hear maybe the second half of President Trump's inaugural address.
Okay.
But
so there was definitely a pause, and then the line starts moving after he's sworn in, like noticeably moving quicker.
So after he's sworn, after the ceremony began. So the ceremony began. It was about a 50-minute ceremony.
Right.
So we were starting to move as the maybe like a little bit before the swearing in. When Chuck Schumer was doing his rant, and the MC, I forgot the MC's name when he was introducing it. If you watch the whole inauguration from beginning to end on the White House channel, like you can think of like this is when the line started to move, is when it started to commence. but not before.
Okay.
Because before, I think people were just like, oh, please, I'll get somebody, let me in, kind of Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, like somebody, by some miracle, I made it all the way over here, please let me in. And I think that's why a lot of us, a lot of us have been used to this. We've been to a lot of Trump rallies, and, we're used to waiting these very, very, very deep lines.
Right.
And we do it gladly. And I think that this is just kind of, a lot of us have just been there before. And so we were the stalwart. We were the ones who decided to make it over the next hill, and then we were, waiting in for the charge, and we were just hoping to get in, and we did get in.
Yeah.
But sadly, it wasn't full culmination of the entire experience I think that we deserved.
Yeah, I think so too. So, gosh, I just wanted this as part of the record, Ray, because you're somebody who's attended both. You were able to compare them side by side. And I just got the feeling, too, that we were trying, that there was an effort to make it just unnecessarily difficult.
I started hearing also, I forgot to mention this, but I started hearing some rumors some grumblings from some uniformed personnel. I don't remember if it was Secret Service, but they were starting to point fingers at the events of earlier in the day, and I remember basically kind of I heard a couple of I don't know, indications that some of it might have been kind of people dragging their feet on purpose.
Huh.
But I wish I could articulate what I heard, but it was the place where I was when I heard it was actually pretty close to the Trump International Hotel. That place was also guarded by Secret Service, and they were saying that there's protectees in there, so you can't go past this way. So we ended up going to the Ronald Reagan, the basically Federal Triangle is what it's called.
Right.
And over here is where I started to hear people who had comms, who had radios, start to kind of mutter amongst themselves, and I overheard it, of course. So this is what led me believe that there was something, maybe something foul afoot. But I had no clue that this was going to actually be part of some sort of story or narrative in the news. It was very strange to get back home later that night, or even the next day, and to look on my web browser and see that people were taking pictures. That they were showing pictures of the event, and they were showing it like a skeleton crew. It was very sparsely populated with bodies. Well, that may have been true at some point in the day, but during the ceremony itself, there were many people there, and people were streaming in constantly. So by the end, the national area, as far as to the extent allowable by the fencing, it was filling up or filled up, and
overflowing. Apparently, there were people that never got in.
There were overflow. Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. That's the problem. We could have been if we had been another 10 minutes late, we wouldn't have been able to get in either. It would have otherwise been a very packed full house, and it would have been evident photographically also. I don't think anybody did any fact checking with the National Park Service about the statistics or the numbers that they saw during the day, because Sean Spicer had to come out and sit at his that impromptu press conference,
right.
And it's strange that is it really that no reporter did their job? I never saw any press coming down in that area. I never saw anybody with a video camera. I never saw anybody with a microphone coming around and interviewing people who were waiting in line. But as far as people asking oh, how long have you been waiting in line? Are you excited to see the president? And nobody got anything like that.
If you ever hear or see anything you think we need to know about, please let us know.
Hopefully I'm not the only one. Hopefully other people also speak up and filter this stuff upward through you guys. You guys are the new news.
Ray, it was such a pleasure to meet you at the Deplore Ball, and thank you for your time, and we hope to talk in the near future.
Okay, very well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cari.